G'day everybody, it's the Footy Talk podcast with Wado, Woodsy and Maroon. Let's welcome in the panel of experts here. Wado, how are you, mate?
Panel of experts, I like that. It has a good ring to it. I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Look, I did think you'd get the job done, though, over the weekend at Shire against the Broncos.
Yeah, it was a disappointing result for us. We probably just didn't, we didn't play good enough overall. Taking nothing away from the Broncos, they were outstanding. They defended their line well. All their Origins players backed up. Adam Reynolds kicked us almost to death at times in there, and we created a few opportunities, half opportunities, which we didn't ice, and then the rest of the time, the Broncos were just too resilient on their goal on their goal line. So we couldn't score, and it was disappointing. It was our first game back at home in quite a while. We've been on the road. Obviously, Magic Round and Coffs Harbour was a home game for us. So we expected better, but sometimes that happens. We've got to get back on the horse this week against another tough game. We've got a road trip down to Melbourne, so it doesn't get any easier. And we got to make sure we get our prep right this week and give ourselves the best opportunity to play well on Sunday afternoon.
A number of the top clubs have a bad on-the-road record, particularly in Melbourne. How do you guys go in Melbourne?
We've had success down there before. Certainly, a while ago now, talking 16, 17, we went down there a couple of times and won. I think we lost last year down there. And I can't remember the year before. It's hard. We've been around a while now. The memories all blur together.
It doesn't matter, chap. As long as you win this time round, that's all that matters.
It.
Woodsy, what's going on, you old dog?
Nah, mate, had the bye. I spent a bit of time with you, mate.
Yeah.
But since I was at home, I had a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
And you talk up this thing, Woodsy, Wado, Maroon World Tour, or the country tour, and then you've brushed me for one night,
right?
And you can't even get it right. You swapped me with Wendell, and this is how it went.
Okay, no worries at all.
More energy, mate. More energy.
I'll come off the back fence. Okay, here we go. Joined by the great Del.
Yeah, mate, great to have me on here. Obviously, you've upgraded to Aaron Woods.
Our producer is making me laugh. Stop it, Chico.
What
all right, here we go. Sorry.
We're doing as if fucking, mate, Wado, stick to the fucking script, you two knuckleheads.
I'm joined by Wado. How are you, Wade Graham?
You fuckwits.
Welcome back to Footy Talk with Wendell, Woodsy. Sorry.
Oh, mate, just.
Did you boys, by any chance, happen to have some happy gas before we went on air?
No, well, I just can't be without you, mate. That's all it is. That's why I said your name.
It was quality, but
I'll tell you, Woodsy, it was late at night. It was the end of the shift. We all forgot that we had to do the extra podcast at the end, and there was a few comments at the end of the footy. one by Wendell, and then
what did he happen to say?
When it was Hoary Corsborough.
Yeah, he called it Hoary Corsborough.
And then Maroon was following because we were downstairs. Had to come up to the upstairs studio.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maroon had his grocery bag.
I don't know what's funny about that.
A little Audi one.
That was a Woolworths one. He had his groceries.
I had the cat food in there and the bread. I don't know why that's funny though.
Why would you come into Triple M carrying a grocery bag?
Well, I had some time before we went on air, so I went down and got some groceries. That's all.
You're unbelievable, mate.
Descended into chaos.
All right, speaking about absolute chaos, Nathan Cleary is out for 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. We've seen him do it early in the game over the weekend against the Dragons. We've seen immediately the look on his face.
The old sniper.
Yeah. You go, uh-oh.
The no contact ones,
It's
they're
not
always
nice.
the worst, aren't they, Wado?
You know straight away when you do, like particularly a hammy, you just feel like grab straight away. And it's since come out that it's a grade 2, which it's a little bit of work in a grade 2, obviously waiting for the healing time and then getting back to running and then getting back to full speed running. So I don't know. He hasn't really had too many.
I think he's more had shoulders. He's never really had lower or soft tissues, really.
Yeah,
it's
not that
just,
I can recall.
No, I think he hurt his knee in his first couple of years, and he's had his shoulders in I think it was previous back-to-back years.
So it's definitely unlucky for New South Wales. A big loss, and they we're still waiting to hear news on Cam Murray.
Yeah,
that's a big
Latrell
one.
calf.
Yep. Then you got Murray had the groin. So that's another one. So for me, something must be happening in the training with New South Wales because that's 3 big ones. And then, Tommy's had the problems in the past with his hamstring. I was happy to see him come through unscathed, but they must be doing something with the training loads because you look at how they've come out. They're all soft tissue. They're not impact injuries. So are they doing something different from club level than when they go into these camps? Are they going back-to-back days? Are they running too much? I know it sounds a little bit picky, but for me, it's a worry when it's 3 players.
Yeah, well, it is a balance, right? Well, because you know yourself, but Andrew Gray, he was our head of performance
he's unbelievable,
for years at Cronulla, and he's like one of, if not the best I've worked with in that space. And he used to, he was like the GPS guru, really.
He's got his own little.
So he sort of created a lot of the stuff that every team uses now, like training programs and how you read your GPS data. And he found with the players a while ago when he was managing like the New South Wales and our loads coming back, because we had a big chunk of players at one stage. We had like 6 players in there. And because you get looked after a little bit at the start of the weeks at Origin, you used to remember, you know how we all get on the same page, and it was light sessions, but then you'd play, and because you'd back up, you get looked after
at club level.
At club level as well. So you're sort of in this period of however long it goes for, 5-6 weeks, where you're playing lots of games, but you're not really doing the training loads. And he actually found that we're being like under trained throughout the year. Like, because you were trying to look after the players for the game only, you actually started to lose the training load. And so it's a delicate thing you got to try and manage.
We had a similar one with Pete Musso when because obviously, myself and Tedesco are in, and like you said, like it's the way you train. So the intensity, a club level early in the week is pretty cruisy, and then you fine tune it midweek, and then back end you taper off, get ready for the game. Whereas because you've got the 10-day camp, you're sort of like you're flying most of the time, so your sessions are pretty intense, and then. I remember when I was in there, we did like back-to-back 7Ks, but at the club level, we'd only do like 4Ks if it was going to be a back-to-back day. And then if you have a day off after, you'd probably do a little bit more. But then like Wado said, that's not too much the problem. It's when you go back to your club level, you don't train as much. You get a bit of extra time off. And then it's the loads that you miss earlier in the week from that one, then you go into the game, and then it's the period after Origin when your body catches up with you.
Well, that's a big call that you're making. Do you want to dig down on that? Do you want to point the finger at anyone? You're saying New South Wales has lost 3 players, and who's at fault? The training is at fault.
I was just going to say, is it the performance stuff?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm not involved in the camp. I don't know what they do, but it's just funny how they're all soft tissue. They're not impact injuries. They're all soft tissues, and they're pretty lengthy ones as well. You look at, mate. When has Nathan Cleary got injured?
Yeah. 6. That's a massive. And not only
it's
at
not
Origin.
It's for Penrith as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be filthy. That'd be fuming.
Yeah, I mean, 6 weeks takes us to round 20.
And the other one is, if Latrell doesn't pull out, does he twing his calf even more? You know? Because you've seen Latrell, how he plays. His style of play is a lot different to other fullbacks. He doesn't have as a high load. He's just got more involvements, the way he carries and touches the ball. So he might not be used to that load, what they're doing at training for New South Wales. I'm just asking. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm asking what's happening. Why are we getting soft tissues?
Okay, let's ask the more immediate question is who comes in for Nathan Cleary. Now I can think of 3 names straight up. You blokes might be able to throw a couple more into the mix. Obviously, Nico comes back into the picture. Nico Hines, obviously Mitch Moses. He's played 1 game at Origin, and obviously Adam Reynolds has done a series. So. I don't know. What do you want? You want to open this up, Wado?
Well, I'll pull him for Nico because, I thought he should have been starting in game 1. I think he's shown over the last 18 months his playmaking ability, and, he needs to be out there for the 80 minutes to really create that. But I can also, I'll tell you a name you didn't toss up then, Cody Walker. He's probably playing the best footy of his career. So I don't know if they look for wholesale changes there, because a lot of it was about the combination, right? Nathan Jerome's combination at Penrith.
Yeah.
So now that combination is broken up, do you
get rid of Jerome? Do you get Appy because Nathan's gone, and do you bring Cook?
Well, I thought Appy was pretty good.
Yeah, so do I.
And so was Luai.
Yeah, and I think
a better one.
If Nico goes into the starting team, you probably look to get either another hooker.
Yep. I'd put Cook on the bench.
Yeah, another hooker or a proper utility who can actually play that 10-minute role at hooker if that's all they want. Happy to have a spell, maybe go on for 10.
Do we have? I don't think we've got.
Well, I don't like someone like
Brayley.
Even like you tossed
Chris
up
Robson,
before game
Brayley.
1, like a Dylan Walker or a Cam McInnes or someone who
That's
goes,
it,
give us 10 minutes of hooker and then we'll just roll you back into the middle as we get the Appy back on. So you change the middle across.
I'm with you. I'd tend to I like Cam McInnes or Dylan Walker because they're bigger bodies.
Yeah.
They can handle the tough stuff. And you know what it's like? You don't get many opportunities in Origin. And if we're going to have the players of Adam Reynolds and Walker or Luai, they can create stuff.
Yeah, 100% with their leg speed and just that. And you only really need them to do a job for 5 or 10 minutes at hooker.
Give Happy that spell.
Then you just bring another middle off, get Happy back on, and that utility just plays in the middle.
So if you're if you're picking the team, you're going right. I'm just going to bring Nico into the side. I'm going to bring one of these guys onto the bench.
I reckon what Wado said is you either pick Nico at half or you don't pick him at all.
Yeah. Well, so pick Nico at half.
Yeah.
Even yesterday on that, we talk about this guy a lot. Reece Robson, he played.
He's good.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, for sure. I think, and the beauty about him is
he's been there too. He's been in that system.
If you you could almost roll him as a middle as well.
Yeah, big enough body.
He's big enough to run the ball and defend in the middle. He's obviously a hooker, so he's used to defending in the middle. So that same sort of principle of, roll him out to play hooker and then get Appy back on if you need him, and he can stay in the middle. You don't burn an interchange, so you can do that. That's a pretty sound interchange plan. So that's a good option. But there's no doubt, there's some curveballs thrown in there now for the selection because just say Cam Murray's not available too. I know they're monitoring his groin. He actually, if you carried a forward utility, he could at a pinch play out wide or in the centres. So if someone went down, like he also has that. Now what happens is, you put one of your back rolls out wide and you get an agile middle to play on the edge if something's to happen. So it's a big decision for New South Wales to make, and obviously it's a big watch. Like, we're not ruling Cam out at the moment. He's pretty tough guy, and we'll just wait to see how he goes in the next week or so. But yeah, plenty of questions over the game too for New South Wales.
What about you, mate? Are you doing that too, or are you saying I'm just going to slot in Mitch Moses? I know Adam Reynolds is a bit of a dark horse here, but he's playing for the team that's leading the comp.
Obviously, Mitch is one of my great mates. I'd love to see him get opportunity there. But for me, it just depends what Freddie and Brandy, the coaching staff, what they want to go with. Wado said they spoke about it in game one. They wanted combinations. So obviously, you're definitely going to pick Luai. You've got Crichton, Toto there, but because they spoke combinations, does that mean we take out those guys now and do we put in Walker and Reynolds together because they've played together before?
Yeah, I get that. I just feel like Luai had a great game. That's a shocking way to lose your position.
I know, but that's just what they've said. So the other thing for me is you're going up to Suncorp. It's a different beast up there. And Adam Reynolds has played before. Yeah. He's got the best kicking game in the comp. You can tell when he plays at Brisbane, they're a different team, and when he doesn't play, they like no disrespect.
He kicked us to death the other night.
Well, that's what he does, and you know what you're going to get from him. He's practically a 2-point conversion every time. He knows a lot of the players. He plays with Carrigan. He plays with Flegler. He plays with Cobbo. He also got Walsh. He knows the ins and outs of their game. He knows their strengths and weaknesses. He's got one of the best torpedo kicks. He can put a lot of pressure on.
The biggest thing, like Suncorp, isn't going to phase him.
It's not going to phase him.
That's his home ground.
And obviously he's going to get booed, but there's going to be people that love him. He's been there on a packed house, and he's been there, done it before. I think he's won a game up there as well.
If you pick him, you almost need to pick Cody.
That's exactly right. And that's what I'm saying. So then what do you do with Luai? There's so many questions. We don't know what the selectors are thinking.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we'll...
and then, the other thing, Latrell's back. So that's another combination that'll be right from.
So you get Latrell, Cody, and Adam.
Do you put Cookie at
and then you've got the whole old Rabbitoh spine.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, the other thing, but this is a combination thing too, right? What I found a little bit. Because we look like we weren't as connected as the
I thought, because you know what,
we're playing the power game.
No, but we're also playing Penrith style. So Luai hung on the left. Mate, Cleary was allowed to rove all the way around. And then they wanted Tedesco to hold the right because that's what Dylan Edwards does. But Teddy didn't do it. And then, so Turbo got no early ball. The ball would only go to Frizz, and Frizz was just do a hit up. We had no threat on our right edge.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because when you do have those combinations, it's hard for some other players to get into that.
And
combination.
We know Teddy loves to play get the quick play the ball, and let him kick off the back of. They didn't have that.
Yeah, it's strange. That's my point. My point is sometimes with the combinations, like the Penrith combination, they play their style of footy, right? It's hard for other players in the team to influence the game because they're playing this certain way, and it's hard to get your style into that way. So, the combination's going to be broke up now, no matter what, with Nathan being out. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions over who they're going to select. We've still got another game to get through.
Yeah,
so it's been carnage in one game. So, hopefully this weekend all the candidates can get through injury-free and we can, have a red-hot cracker going up there as underdogs. History against us and try and Queensland to Queenslanders.
All right, look, a little bit of club news around. Obviously, the Dragons are still making the front and back pages. Jason Ryles has obviously knocked that job back, which came as a massive surprise to a lot of people, considering that's where he lives. He lives in the Gong. He's got a family there. He must have really did not want that job. And then last night they were beaten again, 26-18 by Penrith. They are absolutely nailed to the bottom. Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess, no, that's right, mate. Yeah. Okay. All right, bit of club news around the poor old Dragons. They were beaten again over the weekend by Penrith, 26 points to 18. They're absolutely nailed to the bottom of the ladder. Jason Ryles has knocked the job back. And obviously, the first thing we think of is Ryles, he's a Shell Harbour boy. He's from that area. He lives there. His kids are established there. And he doesn't want that job so bad, he's prepared to get up and move cities. So I wonder now, boys, who you think the Dragons look at. Do they still look at this?
I'm telling you, I reckon Wade and I both have the same person that club needs.
Okay.
I can Flano.
Yeah, there you go.
Why?
He's done it. He's built a roster from, ground up. He did it at Cronulla. No disrespect to Cronulla at the time when he did take over. They were pretty, didn't have many marquee players at the time. He built a battle-hardened roster. Players wanted to go there because it was a great club. He can sign players.
That's what he done. That's what he did the best. He recruited.
But he also uses his players to recruit. Yeah. He's got such a good relationship with his players, whether, you can be a mate with him, but he can also be a coach at the same time. Mate, I've loved working with him, and, he's just got that great rapport. And sometimes you need that. And I reckon this job is fit for a senior coach. You can't have a young bloke walking into this bit of a mess.
I think with Flano too, he has the experience. I know, I haven't been at the club and I haven't been to a joint venture club, so I don't understand this whole faction of the board and not always being on the same page. But I think Flano's experienced enough and successful enough, and he'd have that ability to tell people, no, that's not what we need. That's not the way we're going to do it, because this is what the football program needs. This is my vision. This is why I believe it'll work. And I think he's strong enough and experienced enough to be able to hold them at bay and say, no, you might have a certain way to do things, but this is the way we need to do it to find success.
Well, the thing is, mate, he'll galvanise so everyone's on the same page. Yeah. There's not blokes, all right, we want to go this way, we want to go this way. He'll go, no. Look, we can't do that because this guy's going to be put out of way. We need to get everyone together. If we're going to go up in a good direction, we've got to go the same way together and because it'll be the right way. I think he'll be a perfect man for the job. Look, it's obviously disappointing Ryles knocking back. He had such a great opportunity there, but he doesn't want to do it for his first, coaching.
Yeah,
I think that's the hard thing. I think that's the hard thing for the Dragons if they want a young coach. Like, it's a big job,
it's
right?
huge.
And a young coach probably knows that if he gets it wrong there and gets moved on eventually, well, it's a setback in his career.
Yeah,
because once you don't go, if you go there and you don't get the job done, you go backwards before you go forwards again. Yeah. So.
Well, you might never get another job.
Well, that's it. You just don't know. So
moving on from that, Jason Ryles, who we were talking about earlier, why don't you tell us this story you told me earlier about the great...
He was one of my favourite players, and in 2011, I was lucky enough, he come back from, I think he had a stint at Lacatlin's Dragons, and he played with the Roosters, and I'll never forget, played against him at Leichhardt Oval, and mate, all week I was so nervous because he's my favourite player growing up. So I was rattled, and I remember when I tackled him, like, there's times where you're like, oh, mate, like, you don't want to go too hard at your favourite players, do you, Wado? Like, I'm a footy tragic. And then at the end of the game, I was kicking myself because I never asked him for a photo. And so we played him the next year. He signed me in Melbourne. He had one more year. We actually beat Melbourne in Melbourne. And then at the end of the game, I remember, you go up, shake everyone's hand. So I was, hey, Rylesy, mate, would I be able to get a photo with you in the back? And he looked at me, mate, he goes, are you effing serious? And I'm like, no, mate, honestly, you're my favourite player. Can I get a photo? And he's like, mate, you're disrespectful. Like, he thought I was taking the mickey out of him, calling him an old bloke and all that.
Right, yeah.
And I literally stood there for 5 minutes, like, trying to calm him down. Like, I was like, mate, honestly, you're my favourite player, blah, blah, blah. Like, seriously. And then he finally turned. And then, mate, he took me in the sheds. We had a beer, and it was, mate, one of my favourite moments.
Yeah,
and then ended up getting a photo, and I couldn't believe it. I tell you what, mate, I was that scared on the field. I thought he hated me and wanted to knock me out. Then he took me inside, and mate, all the Melbourne boys were nice.
Yeah,
it was just unbelievable,
You
mate.
are such a fanboy, aren't you,
I
mate?
love that, mate. And like, he is my idol. Like, him and Cliff Lyons, love him.
Remember when he said before that he had like the week off and a lot of free time on his hands, mate? He would have watched every game of football.
I watched the women's Thursday night, the boys on Wednesday.
Mate. How many Super League games you watch?
I watched a couple. Lee Centurions was on yesterday morning. I got to see a little bit of that. So
any Aussies in that side?
Yeah, Lammy's young bloke.
Oh,
one of my good mates. Give him a big arbor. See him in the Fanai.
Yeah, right.
John Asiata.
Oh, that's where he finished up the ass man,
over there, yeah.
So I wanted to raise this with you as your two current NRL players. Obviously, we're back into a situation where we have an odd number of teams in the competition. That's one thing. But the other thing is some teams have had 2 buys. For example, Panthers have had 2 buys. Sharkies, they've had 2 buys. then some teams haven't had a bye yet. Broncos and Souths haven't had a bye yet. The Cowboys haven't had a bye yet. So if we look at the ladder, we've got Panthers and Broncos on top of the ladder, but Panthers have played 12 and the Broncos have played 14. So I don't know how you guys feel about this ladder and this bye, and do we need to get 2 points for a bye?
Oh, honestly, I don't think we need points for the bye because we all get 3. I just think the timing's a bit different. Like you said, Penrith are on top of the table, but the Broncos have had more wins. It's a funny one. But, yeah, I don't understand how a team's going to already have 2 byes and other clubs have had none.
We're going to have 3. I think we got another bye.
We've got one in 4 weeks. Yeah, after Origin 3. And I think...
So that's going to be 3.
Yeah.
It's just our draw always has so many little things about it. You know how in the opening rounds you can see teams play twice?
Yep.
Like in the first 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah.
And then, we might not play them until round 20 or something. It's just...
And you only play them once.
Yeah, it's funny managing like the 17 teams, the different... How I understand it works is they get the games allocated at the start of the year that they need to. So, Roosters, St. George, Anzac round and Rivalry round, Melbourne.
Yep.
And then, Brisbane every Friday night. So they put those in and then the computer generates a draw out and just spits out the draw and then that's it. So we're always going to have...
Because it goes off the audience viewing and that as well, doesn't it?
Well, you need to have a Queensland game.
Because the Queensland, they rate the best, don't they?
Well, you've got Broncos
so you need
and
to
now
have
the
that.
Dolphins, yeah.
And it's what's the word? Idiosyncrasies? Syncrasies?
Yeah, could be the
The
word.
draw always,
I'm not going to bite into
the
that.
draw always has that. It always has something funny. You look at it and go, how does that happen? But it's just the way it is. So back to your question about the ladder, whether there's points or not, like, I don't really mind. It's much to muchness. Right? It's going to even out.
It's going to even out in the end.
It only matters around 27.
Yeah.
So whether you give teams points or no points, it's the same argument, really.
The only time you don't really want to buy is like round 1 or something. Like when I had the Dragons. We've got another week of frigging preseason. So
yeah. Well, the other thing is too, we're not going to get another team till 2026. So we're going to have another 2.5 years of this business with the bye. Other thing with the bye that a lot of morons say, and I've actually heard you two say it, is you say, for instance, if you're playing on Sunday.
It's a 4-point win.
Yeah, it's a 4-point.
Yeah.
You still get the 2 points for the bye. So why say
makes
it's a 4-point win?
It's a way to pump your side up. No, honestly, you look at because some teams haven't had a bye. So it really is a 4-point win, isn't it, Wado?
Yeah, when you need to, like, as a coach or even, when you're experienced in the team, you need to keep your team focused on the actual game that's in front of you before the bye because if you have got time off on the other side of it and say it is deep in the year and you haven't had a break for a while, you can get carried away and look past the current game and, worry what's on the other side.
We've got 5 days off next week. How good.
Get distracted what's on the other side. So if you just dial into that one performance, we need one performance, guys, one result, and it's worth double, right? Because we get the result and then we get the week off. You need all these little tricks in your bag, Maroon, to just keep everyone focused and on track.
What did you blokes think of the Melbourne Storm over the weekend getting 45 points put on them by the Cowboys? Now, I did have a feeling the Cowboys could beat them, but to put 45 points and, I think 31 of those points came in the second half.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy. I missed the first 20 minutes. I was coming back from a little fella's party, and honestly, to see, and some of the tries, like the effort for those tries were ridiculous. The second half, it was just they were getting split at will. I remember they panned to Craig Bellamy's box halfway through that game. I wouldn't want to be in that after-match talk, and I wouldn't want to be the side playing against them this week.
Well, that's me. We're going down to Melbourne, but you can't. Obviously, Melbourne wouldn't be happy with the defence, particularly the second half. What Craig's like, and as you said, he'll be into him this week for sure. But the Cowboys
can't take much away from them.
That's the sort of performance I think we've all been waiting for, right? Off the back of their form last year, and I just wonder if the guys who went to Origin, Val. Cotter, who got man in the match in the Origin series.
Dearden was there.
Dearden, just had a little bit of a break from clubland, freshened up, off a good result in Origin. They come back and they bring that extra spike of energy and confidence to the group.
And they also got Jeremiah Nenai back. Tamalalo's back this week. They're starting to get all their troops. I think Griffin Neem came back.
I think that, and that's the performance that we're all expecting at the start of the year, from the Cowboys off the back of last season. Todd Payton's first year up there, we're all expecting them to go and be a better team than they were last year.
I tipped them to be top 4.
So...
Yeah. Well, now with all those men back, and what about Valame filled in for Felt? And what about 3 tries on debut for the club?
Yeah, they were solid tries as well. So I think he's the first one at the club to ever do that. So, they're getting players back at the right time. Have they left their run for too late? No, I don't think so, because the competition is so close.
Have they had any buys?
No, they haven't had a buy either. There you go.
No,
Maroon.
they haven't. They're one of the
So
teams.
they got, they got 4 points,
six points under the you know. But they're a side that they can win. You know, the next month of footy, if they win 4, you're straight back up in the competition.
Yeah.
So they're 2 wins outside the 8.
Yeah, they are right now. They're only 2 wins outside the 8. So anyway, we'll wait and see. We know you love Toddy Payton, you love Mitchy Moses.
Yep.
Who's the other one you love today?
Funno.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all think you're a turd, but never worry mind about that.
Woodsy's Front Row Forum. Front Row Forum.
Woodsy, this is a segment that we love from you. It's where we just dig. I like it. I say this all the time. Having you guys here, you play the game. You play NRL. You're not.
This is our part where we can get a little bit of insight onto to the
Exactly,
fans. So,
mate. Yeah.
So today I'm just going to talk about fan sledging. You know, and after the New South Wales Blues being down 1-0, I've been in that situation a couple of times. You know, we were playing a game after we lost. I think we lost the game 1, and it was in Sydney.
What year?
I think it might have been 15. Mm-hmm. It was when we missed the opportunity field. Did you play that one, Wado? Were you
15? I don't think I played.
Dukes went for a field goal.
I remember past about it was in Melbourne.
Yeah. No, it was in Sydney. Then we went to Melbourne game 2.
Okay, yeah.
So we lost the first game. So we're down 1-0. We lost it at home. We were filthy on ourselves. The next week, I had to go up and play against the Cowboys, so with the Tigers. When you have a good win at the Cowboys, you get to go have a few beers afterwards. And one of the great places to go to is called the Mad Cow. And I was sort of thinking, do I go out, do I not? Because it's, you're heart of Queensland, the 2-headed redneck country. Like, do I want to be seen out with all these blokes giving it to me? We've been beaten. So
you'd be a big man to turn down the Mad Cow.
Nah, I couldn't, wait. I couldn't. The boys are twisting. It's like the first thing you pack in that trip is your jeans and the shirt. So I went out with the boys and I hung around the big lads all night. And, mate, there was this one little, it reminded me of you, a little palooka just going, Woods, 1-0.
It reminded me of who? Me?
Yeah, of you, Maroon, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I just kept going, 1-0 Woods, 1-0. And I was like, hey, mate, at the start of the night, yeah, funny, good on you, champ, good on you, mate, 1-0. And he just kept doing it all night. And I just, mate, this bloke's doing me head in. So I was at the bar and he's into me 1-0, got a couple of drinks for the boys. And then I'm just, when you keep watching someone and say, where's this little bloke? Because he's doing me head in. I've seen him walk into the toilet by himself.
Don't tell me you followed him into the toilet.
So I followed him into the toilet. But I've taken back up. I said to one of the boys, mate, come. I'm not going to mention his name because he's a champion and he knows I don't want to throw him under the bus because he was there to support me.
Right.
So he's just stood there and then I said, mate, this bloke's been into me. I just want to go confront him a bit. And then so I got in the toilet, just see if you noticed me. I did a wee. He goes, here he is, 1-0, big Woodsy. I said, listen, mate, can the 1-0 crap, mate. You're doing me head in. And he goes, can't help it, Queensland beat you. And I was like, yeah. I said, well, how about you run at me now? So we're in the toilet. You've been the Mad Cow, There's a troughs there, and it's probably about a 10-metre thing. So he's gone at the back of the door. I've down there. So I was like, all right, mate. So I said, me teammate, I said, you give him a 3-2-1. So he's come at me, and then I've just sort of pretended to go low, then I've come up high him with a great stiff arm. And he's on the ground. I said, 1-1 now, mate. So then afterwards we walk into the bar and get some more drinks. And he looks at me and goes, good work, Woodsy. How are you, mate? Give me the thumbs up. It wasn't 1-0 this time.
That's brilliant.